All right, guys, this week we are going to be taking a look at Auralex foam paneling and how that relates to acoustic treatment. Our viewer question is going to be talking a little bit about the differences between recording a guitar amp directly into your computer or miking it via a cab. And we're going to be taking a look at the differences there and the advantages to miking a cab. And finally, I'm going to be taking a look inside of Reaper and showing you guys how to set up an RMS master track so you can see exactly how loud you're getting your tracks at the end and when you're in the mastering stage. That way you don't have to export your tracks and see what level you're hitting there. You'll be able to see it inside the mixer of Reaper. And that's all coming up here on episode number 74 of Limitless Studios TV. All right, this week we are going to be talking a little bit about a recent purchase. This is a Auralex foam, studio foam single wedge. These things run about $5 a piece plus shipping, so you're going to end up paying more for shipping than the actual product itself, unless you, of course, buy something else with it.
Yeah.
And we actually got this for a reason that you might not know about.
Yeah, it's a little tip we've got about getting rid of reflections off of the ceiling, like for example when you're recording drum overheads or recording spot mic cymbals. But basically what we're using it for is we're just got the mic here, which is a Studio Project B1, and even though this is a cardioid pattern mic, it's still going to pick up a little bit of signal from the back side of the mic, so you're going to get some of those reflections from the ceiling, which really don't work all that well for overheads. So basically what we do is just set it up in the shock mount like this over the cymbal or an overhead, and then you can just rest the studio foam over top like that, and that'll get rid of the reflections from the ceiling, and it happens to work really well for that purpose. They also sell these in larger packs, which you can buy from other websites, and we'll post a link in the description to the single wedge and the pack itself.
Mm-hmm.
You can also use those for other applications, such as treating reflection points in your room. I'll also put a link in the description for a formula which you can use to actually figure out your first reflection points of your room, which you'll definitely want to treat in a monitoring situation. Yeah. And just anywhere you hear the reflections of the room, you can place them there. Mm-hmm. But use these things sparingly, because if you put too many on the walls, then your room will become dead and it'll choke the life of the recording. So just be careful with placing them. And there's actually, the packs come with some kind of adhesive to mount it to the wall, but the single pack or the single wedge does not. So you'll have to come up with your own adhesive for that.
Yep. So there's lots of different uses for those things.
Yep.
So we've actually going to move on to our viewer question.
Yep.
And this week we've got sort of an interesting question. A person wanted to know whether or not recording a guitar directly out of the preamp is going to give you a better or equal sound as recording the cabinet with a microphone. So sometimes amplifiers these days have those emulated outs, which aren't direct out of the preamp, and they do have some sort of
speaker modulation.
Yeah, some sort of simulation that's going on, but I haven't yet to run into one that actually sounds real. They still sound very fizzy, very, very digital.
Yeah.
And if you run directly out of preamp of a amplifier, whether it's tube or solid state, you're going to give an extremely buzzy noise. It's not going to sound good at all. And in order to get it to sound more natural, and you don't have a cabinet, for some reason you're running a head only, or you're in like a...
or you want to record silently.
Yeah, so you're in an apartment situation or something.
Yeah.
You could record the preamp and then run an impulse loader with a cabinet impulse inside of your software.
Yep.
But as far as replicating the sound of an actual mic onto a physical cab, it's going to be very difficult to do.
Yeah, and something you should know is don't run a tube amp without a speaker load attached. You can buy like dummy load things where you can just plug them in, but so you can record it silently, or pretty much silently, even by just plugging it into a cab. And we'll actually demonstrate that in a video coming up in a couple weeks or so.
We're going to go over the entire process of creating your own
impulses. Yeah.
All right. So I think that's going to do it for the main part of our show. I am now going to take you guys into Reaper and show you how to set up an RMS master meter. So your master metering inside of the mixer window inside Reaper is going to show you your RMS level rather than your normal peak level. So let's check that out. So here we are inside of Reaper, and the first thing I think I'm going to do is create a couple of tracks just to have some visual cues. And the keyboard shortcut to open up the mixing window is actually just Control-M. So you don't have to go up and to your view menu all the time. So as you open up the mixing window, you're going to come down here to your master meter. Now this shows you all the tracks together, and it's usually showing your peak level. But we want it to show the RMS level so you can see you know, your loudness of your mixes. So what you're going to do is come over here to anywhere in this area and right click, and it's going to come up with these master settings. Now in here you're going to want to change the show tab to RMS only and the top label to RMS. And then usually what I do is come down here to the display offset, which is how many dBs above the 0 dB mark it will show. And I usually come down to the 20 dB mark just to have a decent amount of range. And that's it. It's extremely simple. And now when you're using G-clip and limiters and things like that, you're going to be able to see what RMS level you're hitting inside of your audio workstation software, rather than having to export and look at your waves to see where exactly you're peaking at. So hopefully this was helpful, and we will see you guys next week in another Limitless Studios episode.